Welcome to the Stress Busters community and the very first workshop for the month of April. To this month's theme is all about spring, evolution, new birth, regrowth, new growth, rebirth. Amazing words, complicated words, but very simple in its essence. I am excited to host this wonderful session with you all. Today's topic is all about who are you evolving into, right? And it is a topic that I wanted to talk about solely because a lot of times it just so happens that we are super excited. We have been evolving for a long time. We started somewhere. We are now closer to reaching our goal. But a lot of times we take a lot of pivots. We take a lot of different routes, which is not bad in and of itself. Like it's good to adapt. It's good to pivot and see. If this is not working, let me try this. It's good to do that. But in the motion of things, in the flow of things, we kind of forget what we were actually aiming for, what was the thing that we were working towards. So today's topic is all about actually taking a step back and looking at who are we actually evolving into, right? And it all starts with who you were. I invite you, who was watching this live or replay, Trinice, thank you so much for being here, first of all. Means a lot to me. But you know what, it's all about who you were. Look back at the past. That is the invitation. Look at your past. It can be a month, it can be an year, it can be 3 years, right? Like a lot of people right now are looking back at how it's been 3 years since the pandemic happened, and how much we have grown, how much we have evolved. So look back at who you were at any particular point of time, especially the point of time that made you go, you know what, things are not working out, I need to change, right? That is going to be the starting point. That is going to be the point that I invite you to just close your eyes for a second and imagine you being at that point. For me, that point was the pandemic. For you, it could be anything. But look back at yourself, take a moment and see if you can actually step into that persona, into your old self, and think about who you were as an individual. What was that individual doing? What was the thing that made that person say, things are not working out? I need to change. I need to evolve. Who was that person? What were the scenarios? What was the environment that made you want to change, your old self want to change? Look back at that person. Take a few moments to stay there, to honestly think and be there. As you're there, I now invite you to look forward. Who were you trying to be? What was your old self trying to be? What was this person? Who was this person? Why was this person doing all the things that it needed to do to evolve? What did that evolution look like for you? For me, I knew that I needed to step into peace. I needed to find my own journey. I needed to understand who I was actually and who I wanted to be. Why was this important? Why was it important for me to help people? Why was it important for me to help myself? Why was it important for me to take care of myself? Right? It could be anything for you. For me, this was the core essence. This was the thing that made me go, I need to change. What was it for you? Yeah. It's really powerful because things have evolved, right? Like for me, the things that made me want to change was the fact that I constantly had panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and I was constantly stressed out, and I used to constantly fall sick. It was like something has to change. Back then it was all about reconnecting with myself. It was all about, this is who I want to be, this is why I want to do the work that I want to do. So yeah, Trinice, it seems that you have a comment. Please go ahead and go for it.
I know what came up for me because it's funny you say that. I was just doing some reflection like the other day on something like this, and I was just like, putting myself in that train of thought of in order to get to the goal that I'm trying to achieve, I have to look at my past and look at what is not working. And looking at how where I'm at now, I was doing the same thing to get to what I have now. So I know for me, bouncing from like job to job and not having like a career mindset was like, a big thing in my 20s, and I just wanted something that was going to pay well and lead me into a career path. And I'm in that journey where I'm building my career. So it's like, I'm taking that reflection back where I didn't have a set goal of what path I wanted to take. And it's like that same step. Each part of your journey, you have to look at the past. So it's interesting you said that, as we do that periodically throughout our life without realizing it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that's the thing behind this, right? Like a lot of times we get so involved into trying to understand what is it that we wanted to do, what is it that we wanted to achieve, and we are in the motion of actually achieving it, but we forget why we started. We forget what was the thing that kicked us off into this journey. And it's a great reminder to actually look back at what made us want to start, right? Because a lot of times when we lose motivation, when we lose the spark, when we feel like things are getting too difficult and it was easier back then, actually looking back at why you started this journey can be so powerful, because it can be the reminder that you needed, that no, 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 this is why I started, this is why I am doing the hard work, this is why I am in this space doing, putting in the work and trying to do all that I can to become the person that I wanted to be. So the main prospect or the main intention of this workshop is all about who you were, understanding who you were. And I invite you after the session, or if you're watching the replay, to hit pause and actually think who you were. What was that individual like who wanted to create change, and who did that individual want to become? Right? Understanding who you were and who you wanted to be can be something that is extremely powerful. So I invite you to actually take that journey, look at yourself from the past lens and think of who you wanted to be. The next thing is to actually ask yourself, where are you right now in the current flow of life? Where are you right now? Right? And the very first thing that you can do to understand where you are right now is to actually look at the goal from the past that you had. That, yeah, this is the person that I wanted to be. I wanted to be the amazing Madhurima Sappatti, but am I still moving towards that goal? Right? Because goals change, intentions change, our journeys take us down different routes. And so it's really important to actually think, am I still working towards a goal that no longer has a purpose for me? You need to understand that. So that is the very first thing. Are you still working towards a goal that no longer needs to be fulfilled? The second thing is, if your goal still remains the same, where are you in that flow? Right? I know journeys are not linear, it doesn't go from point A to point B, but just for the sake of it, let's imagine that you started from point A, you're moving towards point B, and you have taken different routes, different paths, things have changed, things have evolved. I want you to think about this. Are you moving towards point B, or are you moving away from point B? In that sense of things, of where you are right now, are you moving towards, are you aligned towards the goal that you wanted to be, or are you working against it? Understanding that can be really crucial, which is why the very first step was important. Like, are you still attached to the goal you wanted to do, the goal that you wanted to reach? If yes, then where are you in that journey right now? Are you working towards the goal or away from that goal? How aligned are you? Right? That is really crucial to understand. Please let me know if you have any questions, Trini's. And for anyone who's watching this in the replay, you can drop those questions in the comments below and I would respond to them as soon as possible. But Trini's, do you have any questions?
No, it's just one of those things where you always have to just keep reevaluating, because I do see, what you mean when the tensions, shifts throughout your journey. So that definitely is very important.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So, having said that, let's actually say that you are working towards the goal that you set out for, right? Or you have a new goal that you're working towards. The very first thing I invite you to do is, no matter whether it's a new goal or if it is the same old goal, actually look at where you are right now. You are no longer the person from the past. You have changed. You might have taken 10 steps forward or 15 steps back. Whatever the thing might have been, I invite you to actually look at what that goal is right now. What are the intentions that you want to take? Why is this goal important for you? Actually understand the importance of the goal that you're working towards. And this is something similar to what we did in the month of March. We spoke about taking aligned action. We spoke about how to actually move towards achieving our goals. It was all about action. But I invite you to actually think about, is the action that you're taking important for you right now? Is it helping you move towards your new goal or not? And if your new goal that you're working towards, how powerful is that goal? How important is that goal for you? Once you have clarity, which is the very first thing that you need to do, you need to have clarity around the goal that you're trying to achieve. Here are some of the things that you can do to constantly evolve and be conscious of that evolution. Right, number one is, once again, clarity is really important. To understand what the goal you're working towards, why is it important for you, how is this going to help change things for you, right? What is the person that you're evolving into looks like? What does this person feel like? What does their everyday life look like? Are you ready to accept this life? A lot of people have, and we spoke about this, the fear of success. They're like, I will achieve it. Are you ready to achieve it? Are you ready to accept that space? Are you ready to move into that space and say yes to every change that you have worked hard towards creating and have achieved? Right? So once you have clarity as to who you want to be, accept that person, accept that higher self, if you will, of who you wanted to be, and then embody it. What does embodying it mean? If you look at your higher self and if you look at yourself now, what are some of the things that your higher self does that you do as well right now? Right, there are things that your higher self does that will take you time to reach that space, but there are also actions that your higher self takes that you might be subconsciously doing in your day-to-day life. Are you ready to embody it? Are you ready to live from that perspective of, no, you know what, I am my higher self, I am that person that I want to be. I am taking slow but sure steps. So I am embodying the higher self into my being and I'm moving towards it. So are you consciously embodying and accepting and acting from your higher self perspective? It's something that's really important. I have like a hair literally going into my nose like constantly. I'm like, stop. uh, well, no mind. But yeah, that's the very first step. Clarify who you want to be, what your higher self looks like. Accept your higher self, because if you don't accept, if you still have some rejections, that is work you need to do. That is things that you need to show up for. That is things you need to have a conversation about if you are having some rejections about all the work that you're trying to do. And then embody your higher self, embody that space, that person that you want to be, and see how you can constantly act from that perspective, how you can constantly step up and show up as your higher self, and be conscious about the actions that you're taking. Right, for example, I am someone, I know if you look at me, you won't honestly believe this, but I am someone who gets angry very quickly, right? And you don't want to see me angry because I just shut down. I don't have conversations, and I make it all about, everyone is out here to torture me. Everyone is out here to work against me. Nature is out here to work against me. And I go down into that spirals of thoughts that this sucks, I suck, life sucks. If I was living alone, I would be doing blah blah blah. If I was working towards my goals, I would be doing blah blah. Like, I have so many thought process and I spiral down an entire route. And recently, something that I've started to do is, every time I have those moments where that triggering event happens and I'm like, this is everyone's working against me. This is exactly the thing that I hate. And if I was alone, I would be doing this and this. I actually have to bring myself, I have to be like, hold on a second, is this how my higher self would act? Right? And I'm not trying to hate on myself, on my current self. That is not the intention, and I'm not trying to put my higher self on a pedestal. But I am trying to look at things from an outside perspective, which is really important. We can get emotionally charged really quickly, and in that space it's very easy to blame on everyone, blame on the situation, blame on myself, and just constantly be spewing anger, spewing that negativity into the space that I have. And in moments like that, when you step back, all you're doing is looking at yourself from a higher perspective, where the current you and your higher self are existing together, and you're seeing if I am actually aligned with what my higher self would do in this situation. If it is not, the best thing I can do at that point of time is I'm still looking at myself from an outside perspective, but I coach myself. I have a conversation with my higher self and my current self, where my higher self is the one guiding the coaching session for me. Right? It is, once again, not hating on myself. It is not that I am doing this so that I can be like, Madhurima, you suck. This is why you need to change this. No, that is not the thing. It is about, if I am working towards my higher self, what would my higher self do at this moment? And allowing myself to be guided to the situation that I want to be in. And this honestly happened today. I'm not even kidding. I was once again, emotionally charged. I was like, this sucks, blah blah blah. And I was like, hold on just for a second and actually think. Doesn't everyone do their own share of work? They do. Then do they need to be constantly praised for actually doing things that fall in their routine? Not necessarily. Hmm. Do you want to be praised for every single thing that you're doing? I was like, yeah, I like that. I like, words of affirmations like, I need to be I need to be appreciated. And I was, and my higher self was like, cool, sounds cool. Then can you appreciate yourself? Instead of hating on everyone else, instead of talking about how everyone else sucks in this moment, can you look back and take a positive spin on this situation and appreciate yourself? Can you say thank you to your own self? And I was like, sure, I mean, I can do that. Right? Okay, then the work that you're doing, how can you look at it as something that adds to your environment instead of something that takes away from your life? I was like, makes sense. So while this is like an arbitrary conversation, like it's just a part of the conversation that I had with myself, I invite you to actually, when the embodiment work, it's difficult, right? Because you are working towards embodying your higher self, but it can become easy by having conversations. And in that moment, while you looking at this conversation from an outside perspective, don't necessarily understand what is happening, you don't have the entire context of the situation, you can see the conversation that flows between me and my higher self. It's not one of judgment, it's not one of hate, it's one of love, caring, and understanding. Right? That is the way I am moving forward. That is the way that I am creating peace within myself and in my surroundings. Instead of making everything dark and disgusting and dirty and everything and everyone out to get me, I make it that how can I shift my perspective so that I am the one, irrespective of what's happening outside, I am the one who's looking at things from a different lens, from the lens of originality as opposed to the lens of my charged emotions. And how am I creating peace for myself? I kid you not, it took me like 5 minutes to shift my entire day. If I would have stayed in that emotionally charged space, I would still be pissed off till this moment, right? I am someone who holds grudges for a really long time. And I recognize that it's not healthy, but I have been doing this for a really long time because I am so used to bottling up my emotions and pushing them down. But then what I am doing with these conversations is allowing those emotions to play out, allowing myself to experience and actually see what do I want from this situation, what do I want from this scenario, which kind of brings us full circle back to the very first thing. Who was I? Who do I want to become? Where am I right now? Understand the role you are playing on the journey that you are taking. I was someone who would be constantly angry and hold huge grudges against the people around me, right? Who do I want to become? Someone who is a peaceful person, who understands the situation. I'm not being naive about that situation. I understand the situation, but I want to look at things from my perspective. It takes one single perspective to change the way you look at things. I am going to make that conscious change for myself. And then in an emotionally charged situation, I have to ask myself, am I acting from my old self, from that self that wanted to change? Or am I acting from the way that I wanted my higher self to act? And then embodying it. Right? That is it. You can be guided by your higher self, but you don't necessarily, have to follow the same route that I have to do. That is a conversation between you and the person you want to become, and that is your journey to take. The reason why I'm sharing all of this and going on and on about this one point is to invite you to figure out what are the different ways you can have communications, or you can start creating a space where you have conversations with your higher self, with the thing that you wanted to become, the person that you wanted to become, right? And how do you actually become that person? Allow that higher self to guide you, how allow that person that you wanted to become to guide you. And it can be through any way. It doesn't necessarily need to be a verbal conversation. It can take any shape or form that you want to take it. That's yours to figure out. That is your journey to figure out. So I hope this makes sense. I hope my long rant on this one point made sense. Trenis, anything you would like to add before we move on to the next point?
I actually like how you broke that down because I always wondered, like, I'm always, breaking down like the things that I want to have in my life, like creating those vision boards.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You always put the image of what you want to see. And I've been having a hard time putting myself in that place, even though my heart desires it. But, with you breaking it down to really have those conversations with yourself, that's something that I think is missing, a part of that piece to visualize. Like, we can feel it and see it, but that conversation piece is something I think I lack. I don't know how to have that conversation with myself, or let alone be that comfortable talking to myself. So, the fact that you mentioned you do that, and that's what's helped you get to, that space of really seeing it all come together. Um, just really interesting to me to know that it's possible to take that route and feel it in a different way.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like that's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Hmm.
Awesome. Let's go. Yeah. And once again, it's your way to figure it out. How do you want to have those conversations with your higher self? And uh, simply, one can start by simply just having like mental chatter, right? Like mental back and forth. That's what I do. I don't necessarily talk out loud every time I have a conversation, but you can also see me looking at the mirror and being like, hey, you sexy beast, right? Like, there are different versions of me, different ways that I communicate with myself. And once again, it's yours to figure out how do you actually want to communicate with yourself, how do you want to open up those channels of conversation. And you can start off by simply having a conversation within yourself. A lot of people find it interesting to actually write things down, right? A lot of people record having these conversations with themselves in a closed room, a camera open, and then just having a to and fro where they are playing. It's like playing chess against yourself, right? And you're not in it to win it, you're just in it to find strategies to win. And the person on the other end is not your opponent. It's just someone who's here to help you figure out, well, if this happens, what is the thing that you will do? If I create this situation, and I'm not the one creating it, it's the universe creating it, I am just presenting that situation for you, how are you going to respond to it? Is that response, if you take that next step in that chess game, right? And if things fail, it's just a way for you to be like, huh, that didn't work out. What else can I do? What else can I do in a specific situation? What else can I do? That is yours to figure out, but allow yourself to be guided. This is a lifelong problem. That's what I would like to say. It's not something that you will find an instant solution to. This is work that you need to keep doing. Anyone you hear out loud, say, anyone on the internet you hear say, you know what, I have done the work, I am done with all like, no, no one's done with the work. The work is constant. It's annoying, but it is constant. It is something that you need to constantly be in, because guess what, once you reach that higher self, there will be a higher self you'll be working towards. There will be new challenges, there will be new situations that you will be working to solve. There is no end to this game. Then why are people doing it? Because it's fun? Maybe. Before, because it is annoying, because you have to constantly put in the work and it's annoying and you have to struggle with yourself. Kinda, some people are masochists, but the main thing is about, well, you know what, I'm working towards my higher self. I find peace in it. I find joy in it. That is mine to hold. You can have different motivations, different reasons behind why you want to do the work you're doing, but those motivations are not something that you will find another person working for the same reasons, right? From the surface level, it can be like, yeah, I want to work on myself, I want to achieve my higher self for peace, for love, for magic to occur, for all of these things, but there is a deeper reason behind that, and that reason is true only to you. A lot of people are working to be in a space where they can communicate with themselves in a very positive light, because they have always had people, their parents, the society, the people around them, talk to them in a negative light, and they're like, this stops now. I am going to be the one who creates that positive spin. And not only for myself, but also for my kids, for the next generation. The generational trauma ends here. I am the one who's putting a pause to it. I'm not allowing it to continue. I'm the one who's going to break the cycle, break the wheel. So it's really important to understand why you are doing this. What is the intention behind it, right? That is what will help you once again take that aligned action towards achieving your goals. Awesome. The next thing is embracing change. This is so crucial, because a lot of times we keep changing, but we are so afraid of the things that is happening around us that we have that moment of, you know what, let me step back to where I was, let me step back to square one. The best way to embrace your change is to be prepared for it. I mean, it can obviously be chaotic. It's like, I have constantly wondered, someone who hasn't been able to hear properly puts the earpiece that enables them to hear properly, things around them will be chaotic. They will be probably in a space, they'll be like, you know what, I don't want this. This is too much, this is not what I imagined it to be, right? But when you embrace for change, you're like, okay, you know what, things are going to change. It will be chaotic for a while, it will be, right? Because if I am someone who seeks out peace and seeks out love in a crazy ass environment, in a chaotic environment, it will be crazy for me. It will be like, why am I doing this? This is, I am the one in charge of bringing peace, and I don't want that much responsibility on myself. But that is mine to hold. If I'm prepared that, you know what, no matter what I do, there will be some things that are out of my control, I can't control that, I can just shift the perspective of it. I know that every time I move forward with peace, I will have that in my mind that, you know what, things might not be how I wish for them to be, but I'm creating that change for myself. I'm doing this for me first and foremost. Always do things for yourself. I know this sounds like very, a lot of people out there will be cringing, like, oh my gosh, that's so selfish. Right? I hear you, because I was that. I was like, that is so selfish. How can I want to create love for myself? How can I put myself first? I have always been the person who puts other people first. Right? And suddenly the biggest thing that changed for me on this journey, when I started out as a coach, was putting myself first. And I was like, how? Right? Like, how dare I? How could I? We have been propagating that system of keep other people before you, and for good reason. I'm not saying that, you should always be like, let other people do whatever they want to do, I'm going to do what I want to do. There needs to be a balance. But you can't find that balance until and unless you actually step in for yourself and put yourself first. You won't be able to find the balance because one thing is always overpowered. Putting other people first will always be overpowered. So when you start putting yourself first, people around you will be like, she's not working for me, she's saying no, she's setting boundaries. How dare she? Is this like, did we do something wrong? Like, not a lot of people are evil, right? Like, they're not out to get you. It's just like, what changed? Why is she doing this? Is she angry with us? There will be a lot of emotions that change. You will suddenly be left with a lot of time to take care of yourself, and you'll be like, what do I do now? I created the time I wanted for myself. What do I do now? Things will be chaotic, things will be confusing. But if you prepare for it, it can make it easier, right? If I know that something is going to change. For example, if I know that I have to eat something really bitter for dinner tonight, right? It's gonna be really bitter. I'm not gonna like it. If I suddenly start eating it, obviously I'll have the same expressions. But someone who has prepared that dinner for me with a lot of love is going to look at my expression and be like, she didn't like it. That's sad, right? But if I have like little tastes of bitter things throughout the day, when I actually sit down to eat that bitter food, right, which in and of itself is really delicious. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just something that I am not used to. If I keep putting my feet into that cold water little by little, little by little, little by little, if I keep eating that bitter food little by little, little by little, by little by little, I will be more open to eating that bitter food and actually enjoying the deliciousness behind it. I will be more open to taking a swim in the ocean in the middle of the night, because that is what is something that helps me find peace, right? So you have to get ready for that change, you have to be prepared for that change. When you think about, oh, this is my higher self, this is what they want to live, this is how they want to live, this is where the embodiment work comes in, because you're going to look at your higher self and like, when this person does this, what are the shifts that is happening around them? What are, how has their environment shifted? What can I do to get adjusted to that environment? What can I do to adapt to that environment? How can I prepare for that? And that is where you embrace change. That is how you embrace change, and do it with a place, from a place of love, as opposed to a place of, I'm not sure, this sucks, blah, I don't know what to do. Like, instead of jumping in from uncertainty, you step in with certainty. You're like, I'm prepared for this, let's go, let's do this, right? Obviously there will be a lot of elements that you still won't be prepared for, but you have a better chance of taking care of the environment and moving forward and seeing where life takes you. But yeah, that is the next step. All right, moving on to the next step. Before that, Trinius, you have anything to say, share with us before we move on? Awesome, let's go. All right, the next step is about manifesting and working on your mindset. This is once again coming back to, if, who are you as an individual, as your higher self? What are the things that you would like for, you would like, what are the things that you would like for to occur to ensure that you end up being that person, that higher self? How are you manifesting it? When you manifest it, are you manifesting it from a place of love, or are you manifesting it from a place of uncertainty? All of these points are linked. Manifestation comes in when you're sure of what you want and you're ready to embrace it and ready to embody it. Manifestation doesn't happen when you're like, I want that, but what if I don't actually want that? What if I want something else? What if I want something else? It's good to explore your options. I'm not saying that it's bad to explore your options, but it's also good to be constantly aware of where you are in the journey. How close are you to reaching that destination that you want to reach? So manifestation occurs when you, there is this law, right, of the universe which says thought converts into reality. That's the law of manifestation, that's the law of mindfulness, right? There is a proper word for it and I will write it down in the comments. But when you think, if you think with power, if you think with certainty, there's a higher chance of it occurring, as opposed to when you're thinking from a place of confusion, you're just like, do I actually want it? And the universe is confused, like, does she actually want this, or is she still deciding if she wants it or not? So the best way to actually move forward is when you have clarified, accepted, embodied, when you are ready for a change. Start thinking of how your higher self lives, and once again start living from that space. Constant embodiment is something that is going to be extremely crucial. And then when you are in that space, think about how, once again, how things have changed. Why is this important for you? This is the motivation. The mindset here is going to be the motivation. I love being in the space because it creates peace for me. It creates love for me. It creates positive energy for me. It creates magic for me. It creates a space where I am happy, where I'm satisfied with life, where I'm satisfied with everything that's happening around me. I am better in charge of my emotions. I am better in control of all the things happening around me, and that is important for me. Whatever it might be, that emotion, that mindset is going to be important. And then once you are aware of the mindset, once you are working towards manifesting it, make it something that is visualizable, right? Actually think about how do you want to reach there, set those goals, set those milestones, and what does the main thing look like, what does you achieving your higher self look like. This is really crucial because a lot of people reach their higher self and cross it and don't even realize it. So when you set up those milestones, you also ask yourself, what are the signs that I need to look out for that will tell me that, I have reached my higher self, I have done the thing that I wanted to do, i have I am here, I am ready to go, and I have done it. What are the signs that you want to look for? Be as specific as possible. So set actionable goals, set goals that you can actually take to reach there, set up milestones that tell you that you are achieving the goals that you set out for, and then understand what does success look like for you, what does your higher self look like for you, what are the signs that you need to look out for. The next things are really something that is very amazing but very simple at the same time. Seek out for help, look out, like, you don't have to do this alone, you don't have to be on this journey alone, you can always seek out for support, you can always seek out for help. Also look out for inspiration. Something that I do is, I know that my higher self is someone who loves living the life as a Studio Ghibli character, right? Like I look at Studio Ghibli movies and I'm like, the amount of peace these people exude, like no matter the situation, that calm collected energy is what I want to have. And so when I seek for inspiration, especially at times when it's difficult, when I'm emotionally charged, I have to actually close my eyes and be like, would a Studio Ghibli movie character react like this, right? What would they say? Why do I find it fun when they are cleaning the house, cooking the food for their loved ones? Why am I feeling the negative way of this? So when you seek out for inspiration, you can constantly be like, even if you can't act from your higher self perspective, you can have things that you feel attracted to in real life or in movies, in characters that you find that this is a character that I love, I want to be like this character. Well, every time you are taking an action that's opposite to what the character would do, you are in a space where you can hold, like, I'm hitting pause now, I'm gonna think if the character would react the way that I am reacting. If not, what would the character do? Why do I feel attracted to the character putting in the hard work? What is attractive about that for me? What does this look like for the character? That helps me shift my perspective. Right? When a Studio Ghibli movie character is cleaning the house and cooking the food, I'm like, they are taking care of their space. They are ensuring that everything they create in a positive space as opposed to creating from a space of clutter, right? They are the ones in charge. So when I am doing the same thing and I'm emotionally charged, I'm like, but I am creating positivity, I'm cleansing the space around me, I am nourishing my family, I am ensuring that my family can exist in a space where everyone is happy, everyone is supported, everyone finds their own peace, everyone has space to find their peace. Right? So when seek out for inspiration, whatever that looks like for you, reach out for support. You don't have to do this alone. You can reach out to people. You can join the Stress Busters community. Subtle plug-in, uh, and then, but reach out for support because you don't actually have to do this alone. And a lot of people will have a lot of tips to share with you that can help you shift that perspective, where you can find real life inspirations to support you on this journey. The next thing is self care. I know evolution is a long game, is something that is constantly happening, but take moments to hit pause and celebrate who you have become so far. The journey that you have taken so far is really powerful. So take a moment to actually celebrate the moments, the person that you have become right now. Take care of yourself. Self care can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It can be sitting out in the sun and genuinely celebrating who you have become as an individual. It could be taking a shower and being like, I'm so grateful for everything that's happening around me. It could be simply touching yourself and being like, I'm grateful for this body, right? It could be a lot of different things. Self care is something that only you can define. And I know that a lot of the things that I share is all about how would you like to approach a situation, because not everyone takes similar journeys. Like, everyone takes similar journeys, but not the same journey. No one can step into your shoes, and you can't step into everyone's shoes. So you need to decide how that journey looks like. People can support you, but it is your journey to take. So self care, celebration, and the last thing that I'd like to share with you is just be patient. I know it sounds very cliche to be like, yo, be patient, but and it can be difficult, but it's really important to be patient, because once again, this is the long game. It's not going to happen instantly. It takes time to unravel, it takes time to unlearn a lot of the things that exist in our body, right? It takes time to let go of those limiting beliefs and create new belief patterns, create new systems, create new sources of happiness. It's not going to happen overnight. Sorry to share that with you, but it's not going to happen overnight. So you need to be patient. And that's another way you can embrace for change, right? Like, a lot of people are like, change is going to happen instantaneously. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it takes time. But as long as you're ready for it, as long as you're working towards it, you will reach there. Also, remember once again to take time to pause and just be in the space. Enjoy the life that you have created for yourself. You don't need to constantly be changing, right? You can take moments of time where you just appreciate who you have become. I wouldn't, for the life of me, imagine myself being here, living a stress free life for myself, right? Doesn't mean that I don't have stresses in my life. I do, but I know that I have better ways of supporting myself, better ways of managing it. So, yeah, celebrate yourself in this moment and celebrate every step that you take, because you're putting in the work. A lot of people don't. You're doing it. So, congratulations on that. Whew, that brings us to the end of this workshop. Trainees, if you have any final comments or if you want to share something, please go ahead. I'm also happy to support you. If you have any questions, we can look for answers together. If not, we'll wrap things up. But yeah,
What would you say are some good self care?
could you repeat that?
What would you say are some good self care tips?
Ooh, self-care tips. I would invite you to actually figure out how would you like to care for yourself. What does caring for yourself look like? For a lot of people, it looks like stepping out and being in a space where there is no other influences happening, right? You are the one in charge of controlling the environment, right? So for example, that would look like putting on your favorite aroma oils, reading a book that you like to read, or just simply closing your eyes. The AC is on. You are in a space where you are excited but you're calm and collected. It could look like reading books, it could look like going out for a walk, it could look like going to your favorite restaurant and eating your favorite food. It could look like spending time with your pets, with your family. That is something that you get to decide. How do you like to take care of yourself, right? And for a lot of people, if you're not able to figure out how to take care of yourself, what does self-care look like for you, my best tip would be to actually lean in, look back, and think about what you love to do as a kid. As a small child, what were some of the things that you found joy in, right? It could be eating ice cream on a sunny day. It could be stepping into puddles while you're wearing white shoes. It could be having a torchlight on under the blanket as you read your favorite books, right? Because back then we obviously didn't have mobile phones with an internet connection, so that's how we used to be like, I'm gonna remember. But basically, look back as to what your inner child loves doing. That's a really good first step to start, because a lot of people, for me especially, I am someone who's like the biggest introvert that could ever exist in this world, right? So for me, stepping outside, and by outside I mean like stepping into a space that is my own, with no other influences can be a great way to take care of myself, because I am creating that environment that I want to be in, and that helps me take care of myself. So my question to you would be, what are some of the things that your inner child likes to do? What does that look like for you?
Um, I've been wanting and like really craving to climb trees, but I'm noticing like trees are not the same as they used to. They don't have that hole where you could just climb right in there.
Yeah.
But I've been having the urge to just get in there and like, put the sheet around and swing on the tree, just have a childlike moment with a little bit of nature. That
Yeah.
it's just not the same. They made these trees different.
No, I hear you. You know what? Here's my mission for you: go out in search of that perfect tree, or just start by doing something small near the trees available around you. Right? It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily like swinging on the trees or climbing the trees. I mean, if you find that perfect tree, do it.
Okay.
My permission. I'm kidding. I mean, you don't need my permission to do anything, but do it, right?
Right.
And if someone
I
calls you out,
know.
yeah, like go out, do it. And even if you can't, with the things around you, what can you do to still create that childlike moment for you? Would it be like sleeping underneath the shade of the tree or something like that? But yeah.
Um, I know picnics. I was really into that growing up, just having picnics at the park, swinging, on the swings, little things like that. That just brings out the little inner child. Like, I find that that's more soothing. Feels like you can be more free.
Mm,
So I'm gonna tap into that. Just go outside and have a picnic at the tree and read my book.
I love that. Yeah, oh my gosh, that sounds so exciting. Do that and let
Hmm.
me know how that feels for you.
I will. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so thank you so much, Renise, once again for being here, and thank you everyone who's watching this in the replay. I'm grateful for your presence, and here's my invitation. Please join the Stress Busters community, because that is a space where we have a lot of conversations about evolving, about growth, but also about how to manage our stress, how to make things fun in life, how to bring back that happiness in your life. So I invite you to join. It is a free community to join, and we have a lot of these events. We have like events happening every week basically, and we have a mastermind event happening on the 30th of this month, where 25 spots available for it, putting this out there. But there are 25 spots available for it, and we have amazing guests who are going to take us through overthinking and NLP sessions. We are having a guest who is going to talk about qigong and somatics. We are going to have a guest who's going to take us through a musical session. We are going to have a guest who's going to lead us through an art session. We are going to have a lot of fun, and it's just $25 to join that session, to grab your spot. So I invite you, number one, to join the Stress Busters community, and number two would be to, if you're interested, reach out to me, and we will give you that slot that you can have for the mastermind session. But first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for celebrating yourself. Thank you so much for evolving. It means a lot that you are doing the work, you're putting in the work. Please feel free to share in the comments your biggest takeaways and what you loved about this journey. Where are you working towards? How can we support you? That's the biggest thing, right? Like within the Stress Busters community, it's all about support. So how can we support you? You don't have to look anywhere far away. We are right here, a click away, a message away. Thank you so much for being here. I am extremely appreciative of you, and thank you so much, Trinice, our star community member, for being here and showing up for all the big sessions and for gracing us with her presence. Thank you so much.
It was great. Thank you for having this. I did some notes, so
Ah,
definitely gonna take this up a notch.
yay! Let's go. Let's go.